Hey guys, this is Connor Kerm here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to give you my San Francisco 49ers 2020/2021 NFL offensive stat predictions. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. Alright, so if you want to see the details of how this is going to work, go check out my Seattle Seahawks prediction video for offensive stats. That will be linked in the description. But now starting off with the quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's going to get about 3,900 yards with about 30 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. And then put on 100 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Jimmy Garoppolo is a pretty good quarterback. It's just that this 49ers team isn't as much of a pass-heavy team. So there's no way he gets 4,000 yards in my opinion. Because this team is great with running backs such as Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, and Kyle Juszczyk, who all three of them will be here later in this video. But for him, this is a really good season. Pretty similar to last year, but a pretty good season for him, especially with what this team is really meant to do in the rushing game. 8 interceptions isn't bad. One every other game. You would want less, but it's not a bad ratio. 30 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. But yeah, that's so pretty good for Jimmy G. And getting 100 rushing yards. Any quarterback can really do this. So I'm not surprised if he gets a little more, but that's probably about what he's going to get since he's not too much of a rushing QB. But yeah, a really good season for Jimmy Garoppolo. But now on to Raheem Mostert, who gets about 1,300 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns in the rushing game, which is really good for him. I mean, now that he's the starter full season, I think he'll get more reps, probably getting 4 to 5 yards a carry, which is impressive. Yeah, he is a great running back, and when he breaks free, you aren't touching him. He got some speed on him. Same with all those 49ers running backs. And he's hard to tackle. So I would call Raheem Mostert a little bit worse version of Marshawn Lynch, which is a great comparison for him. He's a beast. He's going to be great throughout the rest of his career. And I think he'll get a lot more carries this year. Be able to pound the rock. But now on to the backup running back, Tevin Coleman, who gets about 700 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. This is a run-heavy team, like I said earlier in the video. Tevin Coleman is a great running back. He could be starting somewhere on an NFL roster. Could be the number 1. But he is an amazing backup and will still get lots of carries because of how good he is and how run-heavy this 49ers team is. So about 700 yards and 6 touchdowns is actually amazing for a backup running back. Probably top stats for a backup running back. So a really good season for him. But now on to everyone's favorite 49ers player. Maybe, probably not, but we'll say it is. Kyle Juszczyk, the best fullback in history maybe. For sure the best fullback right now. He is not. I don't think he'll be very effective in the receiving game. Getting about 20 yards maybe, but he can pound the rock on the running game. 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. Phenomenal performance for Kyle Juszczyk this year, like we see every year. Fullbacks normally get 50 to 100 yards if they're really good for a fullback, but you see Kyle Juszczyk getting used in special ways. And he's a phenomenal player, and I think he'll do great this year like he's done the last few years. But now we're going to get on to these wide receivers, starting with Deebo Samuel, their number 1 wide receiver here. Not their number 1 receiving option because we have George Kittle there. But Deebo, about 850 yards, 6 touchdowns is great. And then you add on about 150 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns there because he is like a hybrid player. He is kind of like a Taysom Hill, but at the running back and receiver position, instead of Taysom Hill really being any position. So Deebo Samuel is a great player. It's just he has some good wide receivers behind him, and obviously George Kittle stealing some of his stats there. But a great year for his second year, his sophomore year. So great for Debo with those stats. But now getting on to the number 2 wide receiver, which could be Kendrick Bourne, could be Brandon Ayuk, but I think it's going to be Brandon Ayuk. Probably getting into later in the season, closer to mid-season, he'll get up to number 2 because he hasn't really been able to prove himself to be higher than Kendrick Bourne. But I think he'll get about 700 yards, 5 touchdowns, which is really good for a rookie year with how this team plays. So pretty good season, especially for a rookie wide receiver who is not number 1, number 2. That's a great stats for a number 2 wide receiver. Maybe 1,000 yards, but you don't see that often. So a great season for Brandon Ayuk. Then you have Kendrick Bourne, who gets about 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. He is there when you need him. He is not a spectacular player, but he is a pretty good player, in my opinion. He's underrated, I think. He isn't amazing by any means. He isn't what you want to be number 1 wide receiver, but he is a quality number 2 wide receiver. Top half of the league for number 2 wide receiver, and definitely top 50 wide receiver in the NFL for me. He's a great wide receiver, and I think he can do great things. Surprise some people, get open, like some people don't think he can do. But now we move on to the last player on this team for offensive stats. I am not doing offensive line stats because there's no point. It's just seeing how many stats really get allowed, and there's no point in doing that. So it's George Kittle, obviously, tight end, getting 1,000 yards. Probably will get more, but second at 1,000 yards for the season with 12 touchdowns. He is a beast in the receiving game. So hard to tackle, has good hands, and also good on the rushing game with 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He is a beast. Same with really everyone on this list. Everyone here is great. You got some great runners in George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, Deebo Samuel, Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman. Everybody on this team's a great rusher almost. Then you have Raheem Mostert is a great wide receiver who will get about 250 yards and a touchdown here. And Tevin Coleman's a pretty good wide receiver at 200 yards this season. Then you got every wide receiver on this list, and same with Kyle Juszczyk, but he isn't used as a wide receiver. He's more used as a running back. But they're all amazing players, and George Kittle with 1,000 yards, another 1,000-yard season is great for a tight end. Probably best tight end in the league, competing with Travis Kelce, but I think George Kittle's the best. But yeah, that will do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. And comment down below any video ideas for the next video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!